you even mentioned the idea that we'd use our own natural
resources. Wouldn't be good policy for Peter Dutton to get behind the pensioners and promise to build 10 heli coal-fired power stations, high efficiency, low emissions, and just say to the electorate, well, here we are, that's what we stand for. The other mob don't. You make your choice at the next election.
Well, Alan, I'd just take one at this stage. I'd be happy with one, but maybe 2 or 3 would probably do us of a considerable size. We have lost 12 coal-fired power stations over the past decade, some of those relatively small. But we have a deficit. We have a deficit of reliable power in this country. We do not have a deficit of renewable energy. We've been installing renewable energy at a rate that is faster than any country in the world. Over the last few years, we have installed 200 watts per person of solar or wind energy. That is a rate that is 4 times greater than Europe or North America. And yet we still have the morons that run our energy system saying, we don't have enough. We don't have enough of this thing that is totally unreliable that we can't use at the night. Have a look at the last week about when the issue's been on. The issue has been at night when the sun goes down. So solar is completely useless, and the wind is just a complete lottery. And that is a good metaphor for what we're doing to our energy system, we're doing to our pensioners, we're doing to our manufacturing industry. We are playing a big gamble. We're making a big gamble that the wind blows every night. Well, it doesn't. I mean, you had this absurd situation where Matt Keane blamed the situation on the fact that it's gotten cold, and it wasn't his fault that it's gotten cold. Well, Matt, that's called winter. It happens every year. I don't know what planet he's been on, but every year, Matt, it gets cold. It's going to get cold again next year, and we better well get ourselves sorted so we don't have this every year for our pensioners.
Matt, you've said, which everybody outside watching understands, pensioners and people who don't understand the detail, that it's insane for us to be selling coal to new coal-fired power stations overseas, but banning the construction of them in Australia. Now, how all of these problems we face are a consequence of public policy, aren't they?
Absolutely. This is a man-made crisis, the energy crisis here. It's been made by men and it can be changed by men. It can be changed by men that show leadership, and women, I'm using the term men broadly. It can be changed by men that show leadership and show courage to stand up to the green agenda that wants to shut down our industry in this country. I mean, it's not like the coal gets cleaned, Alan, on the boat. When the boat goes off and leaves from ports just near me here in North Queensland, there's no sort of washing of the coal that makes sure that the emissions don't occur in Japan and Korea. I mean, it's the same coal. And to the extent people are worried about this issue of climate change, the 170 coal-fired power stations being built in China are going to emit the same amount of emissions that 1 or 2 or 3 coal-fired power stations would here. So why would we ban ourselves the use of this natural resource that can solve all of these issues and not blow the planet up? I mean, the question should be put back, and pressure should be back on Chris Bowen and Matt Keane now, is why can't we build a power station? Like, what is the reason against it?
Well,
because
tell us about
climate change.
Tell us about
one power station's not going to blow the planet up. Where's the science that would say that?
Tell us about the Isogo power plant outside Tokyo.
I've been there, Alan. I've been there in Yokohama. It is one of the most advanced coal-fired power stations in the world. It's a high-efficiency, low-emission coal-fired power station, but under a subset of that, it's known as an ultra-supercritical coal-fired power station. All that means is that it is built in a way that allows the boiler to get to a higher temperature. It's built with advanced metals, with advanced concrete, and having that higher temperature means you extract more of the energy out of the coal than you would otherwise. They get efficiencies approaching almost 50% of the energy content of the coal, where typically the power stations here in Australia are less than 40%. If you make more electricity from each tonne of coal, you therefore have less emissions, fewer emissions per tonne of coal. And that's better for the environment. It is simple as that. This power station is 2 kilometres from downtown Yokohama. You can see the middle of one of Japan's major cities. And it runs with almost zero pollution, zero other pollutants as well, apart from carbon emissions. And that's the sort of thing we should build here.